Your mind is a trap, but only if you allow it to be. A lot of people allow their minds to control their entire life. A lot of people allow their minds to dictate every part of their life. And there might be a question that comes up: how can I not let it? It's my mind. How can my mind not control what I do, what I say, what I feel, what I act? How do I not let it? These are good questions. Of course, these are questions you're going to ask yourself. But the reason I say that your mind is a trap is because you allow it to be. You allow your mind to do everything for you. You allow your mind to make all your decisions. You allow your mind to make the right decisions or the wrong decisions. You allow that to happen. No one else. There is definitely influence from the outside world. That influence will dictate what you do when it comes to your mind. It's almost human nature. Your mind is going to run off. Your mind is gonna do whatever it thinks it needs to keep going. You understand this, right? But it's only if you allow it to happen. You have to understand that you can separate yourself from your mind. That's not to say that you can ever quiet your mind, because it's very hard to do that. But I am saying that you can make a conscious choice when it comes to your mind. And you do have consciousness. You can't tell me that you do not. You want to know how I know? I want you to do something right now. I want you to say hello 3 times to yourself in your mind. Do it right now. You hear that voice? I don't. Only you hear that voice. That's your consciousness right there. So you do have a consciousness, which means that you can make conscious decisions when it comes to your mind. There's so much that we take from our senses, from the outside world, and it pours into our minds. And so because of this, we're so easily influenced. Our minds are very easily influenced. It's super gullible. You'd allow your mind to think something that is not even true. But because it's your mind, it's gonna run with that idea. And then because of that, your mind is gonna start doing things like go in loops, go in circles about this one thing. And then because you have that one idea in your head, it's gonna branch off into another subcategory of an idea from that first idea and be like, well, what if this happens, or what if I do this because of this idea? How would that work? What would that look like? Oh, is that the right move? Is that what I should actually do? I don't know. What if I do it though? Your mind is always gonna keep racing. It's always gonna keep going. But you have to understand that when it comes to your mind, your thoughts are the most important thing that you have to consider, because your thoughts is what shapes your mind. Whatever you think is what the mind will go with. You have to understand that your mind does not associate with reality. It doesn't. Your mind creates its own reality, no matter what's going on outside. And so this is where a lot of things in your mind get construed, where a lot of things in your mind get mixed up, and it becomes a concoction of a million ideas, no matter how delusional they might seem. Your mind doesn't see that. Your mind only believes what your mind believes. It only feeds off the thoughts that you give it. And this is where you need to start, is your thoughts. Because your thoughts will shape the reality of your mind. Anytime you think of negative thoughts, your mind goes crazy. When you have negative thoughts, your mind will only think of the negative. And in turn, this is what shapes that reality inside. This is what will determine the way you feel, the way you act, the way you do things, no matter what it is. But this only happens if you allow it. That's something that you need to understand. Is super important for you to understand. It's only if you allow it to be. And this is where, as people, we fall into the trap. It's so easy for it to happen because the mind, like I said, continues to run. But when you give yourself positive thoughts, then your mind will start to configure positive things. And in turn, again, will determine how you act, how you feel, what you say, what you do. It's the same thing. And again, it's only if you allow it to happen, then the mind will do it. The mind will make it a reality. What you have to understand is your mind is the only thing that is creating the good and the bad. Whatever thoughts you feed it, it will create a good or a bad from that thought or thoughts. No matter what it is, it will either put it in a pro or a cons, especially affecting you based off your preferences. But you have to understand that you can detach from your mind because you have consciousness within you. And because you have consciousness, you can see everything that's going on. When you are in the seat of consciousness, when you're in the center of consciousness, you see everything that's going on because you're self-aware of what you're doing. You're self-aware of what the mind is doing to itself. You're self-aware of what it could do if you allowed it. This happens every single time. For you to sit back and see what's going on is a reality that you can create for yourself. But you have to come to the realization first. You have to pick up on when the mind is starting to make these feelings. You have to understand when the mind is starting to create certain ideas. You have to see that. And when you see that and you notice that, that's the biggest thing. That is a spiritual awakening for you. When you can see and notice what's going on, that's that detachment. And then when you can sit back in your consciousness in the seat and let it happen, let the mind go crazy, whatever it has to do, that's the biggest thing. It's been a recurring theme in my last few videos that consciousness is everything. And I bring it up a lot of times. When you allow your mind to go off, that's okay. You have to allow it. You have to permit it. But when I say if you allow it to go on, it could either be a good or a bad thing. That's only if you let it touch your inner peace. That's only if you let it disrupt your inner peace. Then that's when it can become a good or a bad thing. That's when your mind will decipher if it's a good or a bad thing for you. But you have to understand that it's only your mind that makes up what is good or bad for itself. Because in reality, in the real world, things are just happening. Everything is just coming in at once, but things are happening. And when you're conscious of this, you understand that it's just happening. That you just take it for what it is. You don't have to take it as a bad or a good thing. You can take it for exactly what it is. And that's it. Nothing more to it. That's that detachment. That's when you free yourself from your mind. When you can see that. When you allow your mind to run, you permit it to go, and then you sit back, and then the mind passes on, and then that's it. And then the more you notice and are aware that your mind keeps doing this, that it wants to create its own reality, and that you let it happen, and that you just sit back, but then you relax. You let go of the tension, right? Like physically, you let go of the tension in your shoulders, in your face, in your stomach. You let go of all that tension. You take a breath if you need to. Take a deep breath and you relax. And then you let it pass on. then that's the spiritual awakening. The more you do this, the easier it's going to become for you. And then you see that there's an energy building up because of this. And that energy keeps growing every single time that you do this. Every single time that you do this, that energy will just continue to grow. And remember, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. So you keep building up that energy for yourself. You keep building up that inner peace. That inner peace just keeps getting bigger and bigger for yourself, to the point where it just becomes second nature. You can no longer, even if you tried, stop yourself from sitting back in the seat of your consciousness. You have to understand that, and it's so important. Super important. That's everything. You continue to keep that inner peace, no matter what's going on outside. And you have that, and you hone in on that. You embody everything that comes with that inner peace. And that's when you become free, you become liberated from your mind. And you no longer let your mind dictate everything going on inside. It's still there. You can see it, you can notice it. But you just sit there and then you let it pass. And then that's when you become free. Everything I just said is simple, not easy. Peace out, yo.